So you want a job as a game designer? Awesome. I want to help you get one. I got my first job in the industry 24 years ago. It took me over a year and I sent out 500 applications. Since then, I've been part of the hiring process at Blizzard, Phoenix Labs, Netflix, and more. So today, let's talk about the key things I wish I had known when I was just getting started. And for those of you who are really committed, stick around. I've got a personal offer for you at the end. Now, I'm Andrew Chambers, and let's get stuck in. Okay, so when I talk about getting a job as a game designer, it's first really valuable to clarify what it actually is. Game designers create the content, mechanics, systems, and rules that the player engages in and makes the game an enjoyable experience. Fun. Larger companies like Blizzard and Ubisoft often subclass designers into specializations, whereas smaller companies do away with that and they just refer to all designers as game designers. For example, I was a systems designer at Blizzard, whereas at Relic, I was just a game designer because we only had 3 designers on a team. As for understanding the difference in the roles, I just generally like to categorize them into 2 broad groups: systems and content. System designers focus on elements like class, item, progression design. They could be creating professions for a role-playing game or designing weapons for a first-person shooter. Their main focus is on establishing the rules for player interaction that generates gameplay. Systems designers are technically minded. They're probably comfortable with math, scripting, and possibly even some proper programming. They're highly analytical thinkers, adept at maintaining a grasp on big picture concepts while connecting them to moment-to-moment gameplay decisions. Content designers focus on aspects such as level, narrative, or quest design. They build the maps, placing creatures and creating points of interest. They build the missions that you undertake, and the NPCs that you talk to. They're often the more imaginative type of designers. They may have a writing background, or a skilled artist, or even architects in their own right. They also happen to be some of the best dungeon masters that I know. There are also some designers who overlap with systems and content. These are folks like user interface designers or technical designers. They build functionality that communicates systems and content with the player and bring to reality the work that the systems and content designers do. All designers work very closely with the rest of the team, including artists, engineers, and producers. For example, the team that I led to build the Crusader for Diablo had technical artists, it had gameplay engineers, it had other designers and producers, just to name a few. After hearing all this, you might be like, whoa, I don't know which one to do. That's okay, it's not uncommon. To start with, I'd suggest just focus on doing good design, building things, and have fun. Over time, you'll get a feeling for what you're good at, what you're not, most importantly, what you enjoy the most, and then you'll start getting a good understanding of what you want to focus on. Most importantly, don't let the fear of not knowing stop you. Just start. There's also some misconceptions about what design is, so let's take a moment to clear that up. In game design or game development in general, there's no such thing as the ideas person. Everyone on the team has ideas, and everyone contributes to building something. Even the game director, who may not touch a tool on a regular basis, they still build things. They build the effective team. They build the vision that the team aligns around. So if you're looking for the role as the ideas person who just kind of sits in a room or on a couch all day throwing ideas out that other people build, this isn't the job for you. In a design role, you won't be sitting around playing games all day. There are people who do that on teams. They're called quality assurance. It's a really specialized role. It's super valuable, but it's no picnic. A job in game development probably will pay you reasonable money, especially as you gain more experience, but it's not gonna make you rich overnight. In game development, like other careers, becoming wealthy is more about how much you save than how much you earn. Okay, so you know what a designer does, and equally importantly, what they don't do. And if you're still here, I'm assuming you're still interested in becoming one. But how do you go from where you are today to an interview, to getting in the room? Let's go over 4 specific things that you can focus on to stand out and hopefully get into that interview room. If you start asking around, or you watch other videos, or you start reading about how to get a job as a game designer, everyone's going to tell you, make a game. They're right. You absolutely should make a game. But with everyone saying that, more people are doing it, which is great, but that means that you need to do something to stand out. So how do you stand out? I'm glad you asked. Let's say you decide to make a bullet heaven game. Okay, great. But if you just clone vampire survivors, then that's not really unique. Honestly, most anyone could do that. To stand out, you need to bring a new take to bullet heaven. Something that shows off what your focus is, what your passion is. For example, if you're really interested in systems design, take a stab at reworking how the progression works. If you're into combat design, show that off by creating abilities for the player to use that are maybe constrained by various resource models like cooldowns or an energy. If you're a level designer, lean in, show those skills off. It might be that your idea didn't work. Maybe adding a resource constrained ability system to a bullet heaven game isn't fun. That's fine. Still share it. Use that failed experiment as a way to express what it was you were trying to accomplish. What did you learn? What are you going to do next? This kind of iteration is it's part of the process that we do all the time in professional game development. It's a really valuable skill to show off that you have. Also, when you share these in your application, be sure to note what it was you focused on, so that the hiring manager can look at it and have a clear idea of what they should be paying attention to. Whatever you're building, keep the scope small. It's much better to have multiple small projects that highlight different areas of your expertise than one large project that makes it hard to see what you're showcasing. You can also explore just making a mod. Like on WoW, we often had people apply and they'd made a mod and they used that as part of their application. More smaller games also help, as it's unlikely the hiring manager will have time to sit down and play an 8-hour story saga platformer. However, a 5 to 15 minute platformer that highlights a new take on puzzle solving, yeah, that sounds fun. I checked that out. Make sure your project is complete and playable. When I say complete, I don't mean it has to have art that completes with Overwatch, but the area you're showcasing should feel polished. To take the above example further, if you're adding abilities to a vampire survivors type game, they should be fully functional, they should do damage, they should have their tooltips, they should have visuals, sound. It should feel like a finished element of the game. Companies are looking to hire people who can do good work from start to finish. Exhibiting that you're able to do that work is really, really valuable. You'd be surprised how many people aren't able to finish a project. Play as many games as you can from as many sources as you can and dissect them to understand them better. The goal here is not just to consume, but to understand. When you play games, ask yourself, why did they do it this way? Questions like, why did they do their progression this way? Or why do their weapons have durability and break constantly? Go beyond whether you like it or not, and try to understand the intent the designer had when they were building the feature. What was it they were trying to accomplish? Were they trying to solve a problem? Were they trying to add something for the player? Was it a constraint that they were working around? When you can start thinking like that, you're thinking like the designer. I'm sure you can see how that's valuable. This type of analytical thinking is used on a regular basis when building features. The more games you play and dissect, the better your overall vocabulary will be when you come to develop solutions for yourself. On top of this, look for an avenue to express and debate your thoughts about these features. Maybe a group of like-minded friends or a Discord that discusses game design such as GMTKs. Playing and dissecting games, and then sharing and discussing your findings with others will level up your analytical and critical thinking capabilities and teach you how to debate, question, and argue about concepts in a positive and constructive manner, a critical game design skill. It's worth noting that this is also something that I get into in interviews. I ask people, how did you think about this feature? And what did you like and what did you not like? And I look for that kind of discussion and argument even as part of the interview, because I expect that to occur on a day-to-day basis when we're working together. Game design is building content that then is released to the player. To do this, we use tools. Many different kinds of tools. I encourage you to learn as many of these tools as you can. There's so many out there and you just have such easy access to them. Unreal, Unity, Godot, they're just out there and they're so easy to access, and there's so many resources that you can leverage in order to learn how to use them and how to use them well. If you only learn Unreal, sure, that's good if you end up working or interviewing at an Unreal studio. But there's a good chance you'll end up working at a Unity studio or Godot or a Blizzard, where each game has its own set of editors and tools that they use to build the game. Even from Diablo to WoW, they use different tools. Being broad with your ability to use these tools helps in a lot of different ways. In the interview, you'll be able to really easily converse with folks regardless of the engine, showing that you're able to start working day one. Maybe you could find an opportunity to share your thoughts on Unreal's blueprint system, or ask how much C# do designers use if they are a Unity studio. Good designers are great communicators. And good communication is about clearly and concisely sharing your perspective. More importantly, it's about being able to listen to what's being said and empathize with it. As a game designer, you will not only be sharing and pitching your ideas, you'll be constantly listening to feedback, suggestions, and opinions, actively searching that out. Critically, you need to be able to do this in an emotionally mature manner. You can't overreact when someone comes to you and criticizes a feature that you just spent a month working on. You need to be able to sit back and go, that's interesting. I appreciate your feedback. Can we dig into that so I can understand it more? Practice communicating, practice asking questions, do research into methods for improving these soft skills. They will serve you really well, not just with your career as a game developer, but also in your personal life. Everyone loves a good communicator. And now for that offer. And I saved it for the end because honestly, most people won't get here unless they're really committed. If you've taken my advice above and you've built something, share it with me. Seriously, building something really is the most important thing here. So I've put my email down below. If you've built something and if it's finished, send it to me. Let me know that you saw this video and I will respond, I will play it, and I will give you feedback. Finally, please don't give up. When I first started, I sent out at least 500 applications and I only got 2 responses back, and that took a year. During that time, I was working a full-time job building submarines, and then I went home and made games in my spare time at night, every day. That said, it's also one of the most rewarding careers I could ever imagine. You get to build worlds for people to enjoy, and you get to bring them joy. Players, people like us. It's worth it. Right, so I hope you found today's video valuable. I hope you learned something. If you did, or if you have any questions, go ahead, add comments in the section below. And please do like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. For now though, I'll see you next week. Take care.